Counselor Amico. Counselor Demers.
Present.
Counselor Jenks. Not here. Counselor Angel. Present. Counselor Lobo. Present. Counselor Lopez.
Present.
Counselor Lozzi. Counselor Robertson.
Yes.
Counselor Marquez.
What's your name again?
Shruti. Oh, Diane.
What's doing a good job?
Counselor Perez. Present. And Counselor Simpson.
Present. All right, City Clerk, please read the first ordinance.
Counselor Amico recommends that the Director of Economic and Community Development look into the feasibility of hosting a free concert at Manning Fields for the youth of Lynn.
All right, would anybody like to motion that?
I second that.
I'd like to motion. Okay. Anybody like to second that?
I get that motion.
Councilor Lobo. All right, I'd like to open up for discussion. All right, Councilor Lopez.
How can we ensure that the field doesn't sustain any damage due to the concert?
Okay. Councilor Amico, would you like to answer that?
Sure. We're actively working on getting law enforcement to stay at this event. We obviously have to pay them, but we're working on it.
We're Commission Address Council.
Commissioner
Where do we find these funds, do you think, for a start, to fund this such an event?
I think we should take it out of. You got any money?
Okay. Councilor Lobo.
Well, for the event, you could ask, to be accessible, you could ask local restaurants if they would like to donate food, so that way people like get a taste of their food and then they make more money because they want to be there. And then you can you can have students do open auditions to play there and do their talents and all that stuff.
Any further discussion? All right, roll call.
Counselor Amico.
Yes.
Counselor Demers.
Yes.
Counselor Jenks.
Yes.
Counselor Angel. Yes. Counselor Lobo.
Yes.
Counselor Lopez.
Yes.
Counselor Lozzi.
Yes.
Counselor Robertson.
Yes.
Counselor Sharifi.
Yes.
Counselor Perez.
Yes.
And Counselor Simpson.
Yes.
Counselor Marquez. Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Madam Clerk, please read us the next order.
Counselor Robertson recommends that the DPW Commissioner, through the Parks and Recreation Department, look into scheduling summer concert on the Lynn Commons.
Councilor Robinson.
Going forward, that Councilor Robinson has just assumed their duties.
We recommend that the DPW Commissioner to the Parks and Recreation Department look into scheduling summer concerts on the Lynn Commons. I think this gives local bands an opportunity to get their name out and reach out to an audience, and I also believe that this helps get both kids and adults, all ages involved. It could be
granted. Anybody like to second that?
Second.
All right, it's open for discussion. Councilor Miko.
How are you going to regulate the concert itself, seeing as the Commons is an open field?
Councilor Robinson.
The DPW through Parks and Recreation will have everything set up to regulate. We've discussed it with them and they feel like they can regulate any problems that arise.
Okay, Councilor Perez.
What about traffic and where are these people gonna park?
Okay, Councilor Robinson.
The Post 6 right across the street has plenty of parking and they say it's fine for people to park there.
Permission to address the council.
Granted.
Do you plan on charging the people that are parking there?
No.
No. Okay. And how about getting into the event?
Walking distance from most areas and people can drive and park, Post 6. And directions will be given to anyone who asks.
And that's on the Lynn Commons. All right, any further discussion? No, roll call please.
Councilor Miko.
No.
Councilor Demers.
No.
Councilor Angel.
Yes.
Councilor Lobo.
No.
Councilor Lopez.
No.
Councilor Lozzi.
No.
Councilor Robertson.
Yes.
Councilor Marquez.
No.
Councilor Perez.
No.
Councilor Simpson.
No.
Motion fails.
Madam Clerk, what was the tally?
Two yes, 9 no.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, next motion please.
Councilor Lobo recommends the Director of Park and Recreation Program work in conjunction with the Lynn Police Department to include a presentation on bullying in the Parks and Recreation Summer Program.
Councilor Lobo.
I agree with this motion.
Second the
All
motion.
right, we have motions and seconded, and we're opening up for discussion. Is there any discussion? I'd like to address the council. Who specifically would we have from the Parks and Recreation Program come and speak to said kids at summer program? Councilor Lobo.
We would most likely have police officers who know how to deal with the situation if any kid gets bullied or gang members come, and we would have them come talk to the kids right around the time when the weather starts getting warm enough for everybody to go to the parks and go out, just so everybody's safe.
All right, permission to address the council.
Granted.
Do you think it would be a better idea to not just limit it at the Park and Recreation Program, but to expand it into our schools as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like to motion that?
Any further discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Councilor Miko.
Yes.
Councilor Demers.
Yes.
Councilor Angel.
Yes.
Councilor Lobo.
Yes.
Councilor Lopez.
Yes.
Councilor Lozzi.
Yes.
Councilor Robertson.
Yes.
Councilor Sharifi.
Yes.
Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Councilor Simpson.
Yes.
Motion passes 10 yes.
All right, motion passes. Madam Clerk, next motion, please.
Councilor Lopez recommends that the youth organizations requesting canning privileges be required to perform community service, cleaning the city's parks and playgrounds under the direction of the Parks and Recreation Director.
All right, Councilor Lopez.
Since the youth organizations are already canning, why not put an hour or two into cleaning up a local park?
Okay.
Motion.
All right, there's a motion to approve. Anybody gonna second it?
Second.
All right, seconded by Councilor Miko. It's now open up for discussion. Councilor Lobo?
I feel like that is not a good idea because these students already do a lot with their time and they're raising this money to earn, to be able to go to their competitions, to go to their, if they make it to the states, or they're earning this money, they're standing out there usually in this cold weather or the extremely hot weather. That's already enough on top of them waking up at 6 in the morning, get ready for school, going to school all day, doing sports from 6, going home and do their homework from 6 to 12. Where are they going to find the time?
Okay. Councilor Lopez?
But don't you believe that a little community service doesn't hurt? They can just take an hour off, or like, if they play sports, maybe the coach can schedule a practice or a day they can go and clean up that park.
Christian, address the council? What if these, by granting canning privileges doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to find enough funds to go about doing these events? So I guess I'm trying to ask that this might not be enough money for what we're trying to do, which would put us kind of in a dead-end street. Councilor Lobo?
And for the places like on the street, on Wyoming Square, you need parents to do the canning. So do the
18
parents,
years old, yep.
18 years old and up, would you need, if many students would use parents, would you have those parents go and do community service and take the time out of their day to take a day off of work when they're already probably either taking a day off of work or coming out early to help their child?
Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilor Miko,
Yes.
Councilor Demers,
No.
Councilor Angel, no. Councilor Lobo, no. Councilor Lopez,
Yes.
Councilor Lozzi,
Yes.
Councilor Robertson,
No.
Councilor Sharifi,
No.
Councilor Perez,
No.
and Councilor Simpson.
No.
Motion fails, 3 yes.
All right, motion fails. Next motion, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilor Lozzi recommends that the Ordinance and Rules Committee draft an ordinance prohibiting the sale of cigarettes and tobacco products by pharmacies in the city of Lynn.
All right, Councilor Lozzi.
Yes, as many people understand, tobacco use is the leading cause of preventable death in the U.S. Also, in addition, tobacco-related deaths and diseases have a negative economic impact. So, I propose the city of Lynn follow the example of the 79 of the cities around the nation of New England and institute a ban on tobacco products.
Okay. Would you like to motion that? All right. Motion made to approve. Would anybody like to second that?
Second.
It's been seconded. We're going to open it up for discussion. Councilor Lobo.
What about the family-owned pharmacy businesses? If they can't sell tobacco products, that's also one of their, that's going to be taking money out of their pockets from feeding their families, paying their bills, keeping their company, and keeping their business up.
Councilor Lozzi.
Well, that is true, but hopefully preventing the sale of tobacco products will help our economy. And there aren't many families that are that own businesses like that in pharmacy.
Permission to address the council.
Granted.
Do we believe that prohibiting the sale of tobacco products by the pharmacies in Lynn are going to put an end to, are going to limit the amount of people smoking.
We won't put it in, but we hope it will.
Do you think it would just increase revenue for the smaller stores that are pharmacies?
Could exempt it.
Okay. Are there any further discussion? All right, roll call please.
Counselor Miko,
Yes.
Counselor Demers,
No.
Counselor Angel,
No.
Counselor Lobo,
No.
Counselor Lopez,
Yes.
Counselor Lozzi,
Yes.
Counselor Robertson,
No.
Counselor Sharifi,
Yes.
Counselor Perez,
Yes.
Counselor Stinson.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 yes.
All right, next motion please. Madam Clerk?
Counselor Angel recommends that the Lynn School Committee reinstates the open campus policy for lunch periods at the Lynn High Schools.
All right, Counselor Angel.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved, all right. Is a motion approved, anybody second that?
I second.
Counselor Stinson. Open for discussion? Counselor Stinson.
How are you going to be sure that the students are going to be safe off campus for eating food?
Counselor Robinson? Oh, no, sorry, Counselor Angel. My apologies.
There's local police available.
Okay. Permission to address the council? Oh, sorry, Counselor Willow.
Where are you gonna get this funding to have the police monitor the students? And how do you know these students are gonna come back? Because you give them lunch, they're gonna take a bite, and that brings down our attendance rate, and it brings up detention, suspension, and rates.
All right, Counselor Angel.
Well, the cops are already available for that, and that's encouraging students to be responsible.
Counselor Perez.
Well, I think that's a great idea, and maybe we can limit to the students, not to everyone, but maybe to the seniors.
Okay. Counselor Lopez.
Where would they go for lunch? Because you know there's a lot of hungry seniors around. Like there's 4 high schools in Lynn, and where are they gonna go? How much time are they gonna have for lunch? Some of them don't have cars, and they're gonna have to walk, which takes time into their open lunch.
That's one of the reasons it'll help the economic development of the small businesses. There's a whole bunch of small businesses that nobody really notices, so that'll help them get that business.
I have liability questions, so I'd like to ask the city solicitor. If students decide to eat their lunches off campus through our open campus policy, what are the liability issues if they were to get hurt or if they were to not come back? Because it's true that Lynn School Department is in charge of students between the hours of 8 o'clock and 2:30. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
But in the first part on liability, we actually had, and this is a motion to reinstate open campus, but there was actually a time when a student was at an off-campus site and went into the street and was hit by a car.
Mhm.
I tried that case. And part of the concern is that you can only regulate to a certain point. When students leave the campus, right, they enter into a whole different part that's not under the city control. They're on private property, they're in restaurants, they're in sub shops or whatever else. So liability is a key factor in this. And you have to establish, I would think, that students who are going to leave the campus would have to assume the liability either through them or their parents or something to try to put some way to limit the exposure to the city. What we do in the city, in the legal department is, always trying to look out what's best for the city, so we don't expose the city to any liability. But there is a liability issue, no question about it, with open campus. As far as regulating where students can go, there was a time when it was only limited to a certain distance off of the campus. You could only walk off campus. You could not drive off campus. So there are ways to regulate it to try to control what makes the most sense in terms of protecting the city. And what you folks as councilors are doing now, and what you'll see the actual councilors who are present, is that there's an effort always to look out for the best interests of the city.
Of course.
So your motion here says merits to it, but there would be certainly, before you could implement an open campus, there'd have to be consultation with the school committee, with the parent associations, with the principals, and draft a set of regulations and rules that would allow the campus to be open. But again, within a limited scope.
So for instance, if we had the same procedure, I understand that a student got hit by a car last time, the open campus policy was instituted. So for instance, that would be a liability issue?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But there was also liability, I mean, when a student was hit by a car, there was liability on the driver of the car, obviously.
Yep.
And to some extent, the student was somewhat responsible. But when you look at it, you have to look at all the factors, but we want to try to eliminate as much exposure as possible. But there's no way that anything that the city does or whatever, that you can absolutely prohibit or restrict, that there may be liability. You have to try to limit it as best you can.
So eliminate it instead of try and eliminate it?
Well, there's no way to really
Well,
limit
of course, so they're just trying
from bringing
Yes.
students these days, yes.
No, yes. All right. Thank you very much. Any further discussion?
Like, I have something to say.
Okay.
What, Council said, like he said, about where they get food, it's open campus, so they can still bring their own food and eat on like the local fields that are usually by schools. They don't have to go to store, to restaurants.
Great. Councilor Mico.
So how are lunch aides gonna know how much food to make? Because at the moment with a closed campus, it's pretty regular how much food they make. With an open campus, there's a bunch of flexibility on if the kid's gonna stay in school and eat or leave.
Very good, yes.
So there could be a lot of money wasted on food.
Definitely. And we have Commissioners Council. Right. And we have to think that what we're going to need as many lunch aids now that we have an open policy. Right.
Motion to table, you said this morning.
What was that?
Motion to table.
Motion granted. Oh, no, I'm saying, can you repeat that, please?
Motion to table.
Motion to table is non-debatable, and it means that the matter will be placed on a proverbial table, which means the matter will be taken up later on, and we will not take it up at this point.
Okay.
It's non-debatable, and it does require a
So roll call.
Councilor Amico.
Wait, are we roll call on the table or?
There's been
Table?
It's okay. Typically, a motion to table is non-debatable, which is very confusing if you don't know what a motion to table is, because it's non-debatable. But the motion's been made to basically put this proposal on hold, suspend it until a later time. So voting yes means you're not going to take it up, so you're going to suspend the matter. If you vote no, then the matter will continue on, and you can vote it up or vote it down.
All right.
Tonight.
So roll call.
Councilor Amico.
No.
Councilor Demers.
Yes.
Councilor Angel. Yes. Councilor Lobo. No. Councilor Lopez.
No.
Councilor Lozzi. No. Councilor Robertson.
Yes.
Councilor Sharifi.
Yes.
Councilor Perez. And Councilor Simpson.
No.
So the motion to table
Passes.
passes.
one, please.
Councilor Perez recommends that the Department of Public Works, prior to any construction or major repairs on city and state roadways, create a report on the feasibility of bike lanes and other infrastructure improvements for pedestrians and bicyclists at said roadway, and that such report shall be submitted to the City Council for approval prior to any road work being completed.
All right, I forget what any of them are. Councilor.
Perez.
It is, okay, Councilor Perez.
I would like to motion to approve.
Okay, anybody like a motion approved, anybody like to second that?
Second.
All right, Councilor Romo, it's now open for discussion. Councilor Perez.
I'd like to put this forward because, Lynn is behind on bike lanes. Every other city around us does have bike lanes, like, Somerville, Cambridge, Boston. You'll see that there are a lot of bikes, even to rent a bike, and we're, like encouraging people to ride bikes and to save, I guess, money on their car and to encourage, health.
Okay. Permission to address the council? I believe creating bicycle lanes would do a better job. To build a better sense of community, not only with our economy here in Lynn, because if we're on bicycles, we're not going to far places like the mall, so we are keeping it more within our city. So I do think that'd be a great thing to add, to bring up. Definitely. Any further discussion? No? All right, roll call, please.
Councilor Amico.
Yes.
Councilor Demers.
Yes.
Councilor Angel. Yes. Councilor Lobo.
Yes.
Councilor Lopez.
Yes.
Councilor Lozzi.
Yes.
Councilor Robertson.
Yes.
Councilor Sharifi.
Yes.
Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Councilor Simpson.
Yes.
Motion passes 10 yes.
All right, Madam Clerk, please read us the next order.
Councilor Stinson recommends that the mayor be requested to establish a youth violence task force that would include students, parents, community leaders, school department personnel, and the Lynn Police Department to address youth violence in the city of Lynn.
All right, Councilor Stinson.
Motion to be granted.
Second the motion.
Yeah, I heard you. All right, motion granted, anyone like to second that? Councilor Miko seconded that, so now open for discussion. All right, Councilor Romo.
Who addressed these students? Because what if there is a teacher or a community leader that a student doesn't want to know what's going on because they respect that person and they don't want their parents to see a difference in any way?
All right, Councilor Stinson.
Maybe the Lynn Police Department can address the students.
Isn't that who the students have a problem with?
Councilor Miko.
Well, we already have peer mediators in the schools, so if you utilize the peer mediators as like task force, well, with the task force, students can go to them with their problems. Peer mediators aren't teachers, so they won't think of them otherwise.
Permission to address the council? Do we believe that the people that the audience that we're trying to target are the people that actually need this, or do you think we need to reach out to groups that are causing more violence that we need to be worried about? Councilor Lopez.
Maybe by influencing the youth that isn't causing violence, it'll actually influence the violent teens or youth, as I put it, and just end it with that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Amico.
Yes.
Councilor Demers.
Yes.
Councilor Angel. Yes. Counselor Lobo?
Yes.
Counselor Lopez?
Yes.
Counselor Lozzi?
Yes.
Counselor Robertson? Counselor Sharifi?
Yes.
Counselor Perez?
Yes.
And Counselor Simpson.
Yes.
Motion passes 10 yes.
All right, to Counselor, no. Please read the next order, please.
Counselor Demers recommends that the Director of the Office of Economic and Community Development look into the installation of a public pool at one of the city's parks.
All right, I would like to call up Counselor Lopez to the podium.
The chair recognizes Councilor Demers.
All right, I'd like to bring up the good parts about having a the installation of a public pool at one of our city's parks. I think it'd be a great idea in the summertime to have these because it would increase the amount of people coming to our parks. I think that would be great for our city. It would be a great attraction. I think a ton of people would like to use these pools in the summer heat. And temperatures get very high. I think it would be an excellent opportunity for people to cool off, you know, to get out of the sun. I know we do open up air-conditioned buildings. I think a pool would be just another resource. I think it would be a great opportunity for people who have their lifeguarding certificate to get jobs. I think we can expand beyond just opening a pool and go into maybe even teaching swim lessons from these locations. I know it's very important to start at a young age and to build your skills as you grow older, so I'd like to motion this.
Anyone second?
I second.
It's now open for discussion. The chair now recognizes Councilor Simpson.
Will this pool be in a safe location?
Of course, we'd like to think that parks. Oh, sorry, let's see guys.
The chair recognizes Councilor Demers.
Of course, I would like to think that I believe that our parks are a safe place in the beginning to begin with, so I don't believe that would be too much of a problem concerning safety.
The chair recognizes Councilor Perez.
Where would the money come from to hire the lifeguards and keep the pools clean?
I believe. The chair recognizes Councilor Demers.
All right, I think that we can work with Department of Parks and Recreation to figure out maybe a budget that we can set, because I do understand that it is a lot of money and that we do need to keep the pool clean, and that there are a lot of issues to be worked out, but I think that would be a great idea to start.
Councilor Simpson.
How would you cover the pool so like no one will get hurt or no one will die like after the pool closes in at night?
Well, there are rules. There, of course, going to be a lock fence surrounding the pool because we are only going to operate during daylight hours, and then after, of course, you know, dusk falls. We would like to think that people would stay out of it. They would know that they would respect the signs and the rules. So that's about it.
Councilor Simpson.
You think you should put a cover on the pool so nothing will happen?
Yes. I can talk about it.
Councilor Demers.
I feel like putting cover on the pool, but it would be a good idea. But then, what happened if somebody were to, you know, jump over the fence at night and then slip under the cover? I think that would create an even maybe messier problem.
Yeah, Councilor Amigo.
Where are you getting the money to actually build all these pools?
Well, of course,
Councilor.
of course, I think we need to start off with one pool before we build on and expand throughout our city. But I think that it would be a nice test to start off at one of the parks and not only see how we can make money and how we can make the pool fund itself. And that's about it. Yeah.
How's the pool going to fund itself?
Well, of course, you could charge people a fee to come in and use a small fee, because I do understand that there'd probably be a lot of people coming to this pool. And for instance, maybe we could say if we were to set up something like a swim instruction program, that we could use the funds from the swim instruction, not only pay the instructors, but to keep the pool clean, pay for guards, and so on and so forth.
Permission to address the council.
Granted.
Granted.
Would this take away from the already swimming classes that the YMCA provides?
Of course. But I think just like with anything else, we have Walmart, we have Target, Kmart. I think that's just a fact of life.
Any other discussions? Roll call, please.
Counselor Miko?
No.
Counselor Demers?
Yes.
Counselor Angel? Yes. Counselor Lobo? Yes. Counselor Lopez?
Yes.
Counselor Lozzi?
No.
Counselor Robertson?
No.
Counselor Sharifi?
Absent.
Counselor Perez?
No.
And Counselor Stinson?
Yes.
Motion fails 5 yes.
Councilor Demers, please come up.
Right before we adjourn, I would like to make a motion that Madam Clerk accept my invitation to go to the senior prom with her at St. Mary's High School. Is there a motion to approve?
I
Oh,
second
it's been
that.
seconded. How about a roll call? Madam Clerk?
Counselor Miko?
Yes.
Counselor Demers?
Yes.
Counselor Angel? Yes. Counselor Lobo? Yes. Counselor Lopez?
Yes.
Counselor Lozzi?
Yes.
Counselor Robertson?
Yes.
Counselor Sharifi?
No, she doesn't.
Counselor Perez?
Yes.
Counselor Stinson?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Motion passes. Great. Thank you guys a lot. We're having a good time.
You're welcome.
I'll send everybody pictures, all right? Great. All right, we're gonna
The former council president, I would just like to say a few things on behalf of my colleagues. This is one of the best student government groups we've ever had. You were very attentive, very informative, very bright. The council president did a fantastic job, better than the former council president did. And I'm very happy that we were able to make a match
Yeah, there you
as
go.
well. But thank you very much for your service. It is so important that the youth of the city are involved in government, that you are involved not only in your school community, but the community outside and your neighborhoods. And I got to tell you, on behalf of all of us, if this is the type of group of kids that we have growing up in our community, and to be our next leaders, we are exceptionally fortunate. And in our old age, and one day when I'm old, which by your standards I'm very old, but one day when I'm old, I'll be very happy to have young folks such as yourself taking up the cause and doing great things for the city. But you should be proud of yourself. I'd also like to thank some of the teams from the quarantine that filled in very last minute. You did a fantastic job. And we'd just like to give you a round of applause for your accomplishment. The very last time, but hopefully not the last time ever, I'll turn it over to Council President.
All right, I would like to adjourn today's meeting. Motion to adjourn, excuse me, sorry, hold your applause. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody say no?
I don't want to go home.
All right, let's have it. Meeting adjourned.